Good morning, guys. I'm Elle. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another episode of Soulful Sunday. If this is your first Soulful Sunday with me, thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with me today. Soulful Sundays are all about learning about the truth about our soul, about how we're created, and about how we can learn and start the journey to become our best self. And realizing that our best self does not mean our most perfect self, but rather our best self is our truest self. When we can learn to live most authentically, most truthfully, when we can really look at every corner of ourselves and excavate the parts of ourselves that we want to change and empower and grow, and celebrate the parts of ourselves that makes us beautiful and unique, I truly think that is the best way that we can honor ourselves and our creator. So that is what these Sunday videos are all about. If you enjoy these videos, would you please do me a favor and give this video a thumbs up, share it on your social. To be honest, these sorts of videos are truly the videos that matter the most to my heart, and I would love to make more of these videos in the future. So you can help me do that by helping get the word out and helping this channel grow. So let's get into today's Soulful Sunday. So those of you who don't know, I grew up with a lot of trauma and addiction and abuse in my family. And those of you who come from a family that has substance abuse issues or just domestic violence of any kind in general, you'll know that it's not all bad all the time. There's moments of beauty and there's moments of redemption, but there's also moments of darkness. And I grew up receiving a lot of messages about who I was. I wasn't very smart, I wasn't very pretty, I wasn't very good, and I didn't want those to be true, but I heard those messages a lot. And I remember moving out at a very young age and thinking, thank goodness I'm free from all of that negative messaging. But then over the years, I caught myself repeating those things that I had been told. You're pale. Anyone who truly gets to know you will leave you. You're not good enough. I would catch myself repeating those things over and over again. And as much as I didn't want to hear those messages anymore, and as much as I didn't want those messages to be true, it was like I had this tape that kept playing in my mind at times. And I wanted to know, where does that voice come from? If I don't want those messages in my head, where does that voice come from? And how or can I change that voice? So I started doing a lot of research and reading. Have you ever looked at yourself in the mirror and thought, ugh, I look so ugly today? Have you ever caught yourself saying, I'm so stupid? Have you ever felt worthless? Where does that voice come from that talks to you in that way? Where was the first time you heard those words? The truth is, our brain is created in the most miraculous and powerful way. The other truth that I want you to understand today is that your words, whether they're spoken from your mouth or spoken within your own mind, are the most powerful tool that you have for yourself as well as for others. So our brains, we know, complete tasks. They complete tasks within our body. They also are responsible for completing tasks in terms of thought patterns. And the process of collecting, storing, and organizing the brain's complex information system is called neural processing. And you can think of the storage system it uses as neural pathways. If you're subscribed to my newsletter, you will have read on Friday that I challenged you to ask yourself, if you could write a new or better story for yourself, what would that story say? So if you took the time to write that down, I would encourage you to hit pause on this video and go get that paper or go get those notes and bring them with you for today's video. If you're not subscribed for the newsletter, I will have a link in the description box where you can sign up. It's every Friday night. It's totally free to join, and it gives us something to kind of start stewing over so that we're ready and we have those beginning thoughts forming for Sunday's videos. So in Friday's newsletter, I said our brain cells communicate with each other through something called neuronal firing. And the more certain neurons fire, and you can think of that as like the more that these brain cells communicate with one another, the stronger the neural pathways become. So if you think of your brain like a metropolis, thought patterns and as well as movements and behaviors that are done repeatedly, your brain creates stronger and stronger neural pathways. And the reason why it does that is because one of the purposes and functions of your brain is to always create the path of least resistance. Your brain is always trying to be as efficient as possible. So if you're repeating a behavior often, like say running, if you think of running or walking, there's a whole set of complex tasks that your brain and body has to complete in order to run. So the more and more you perform that task, the more that your neurons will fire and the stronger that neural pathway will become. And our thoughts work the same way. So if you grow up hearing the message that you're ugly, for example, and that is a message that you're told often, and you're told that you're ugly more frequently than you're told that you're beautiful, the neuronal firings within your brain will actually create a neural pathway where it becomes easier for your brain to think that you're ugly than it is for your brain to think that you're pretty. You can think of commonly produced thought patterns and behaviors as these neural pathways become highways, things that are traveled frequently and quickly. And thought patterns and behaviors that you don't do as often, they become old, dusty roads. What is also interesting is the part of our brain cells that create these neural pathways. It's not the part of your brain that is responsible for decision making. So those brain cells that are creating these neural pathways are not taking the time to consider whether these thoughts or behaviors are true or good or bad or a lie. It's just deciphering how often, the frequency with which you're doing those behaviors or thinking those thoughts. And so that can either be a really great thing or it can be a really dangerous thing, because as much as you don't want to think that you're ugly, if it's a repeated thought and a repeated behavior, your brain strengthen and intensify that neural pathway. So this can actually be good news, because there is so much scientific research to prove and support that our brains are pliable, and these neural pathways are always changing and can always be changed. So the neural pathways don't necessarily go away, but what happens is you can create new neural pathways, and you can train your brain to realize that new thought patterns and new behaviors are being repeated more frequently than older ones. And the more you continue to take new paths, those new paths become the highways, and those old paths become the dusty roads. And if you remember, that part of your brain that's creating those neural pathways, it's not responsible for decision making. And so the great news is you don't even have to believe that it's true for it to work. So if you truly think that you're ugly, but you start telling yourself, I am beautiful, over time, and it doesn't happen overnight, but over time, as that beautiful message, neural pathway, becomes traveled more and more frequently, that becomes the highway. Even if when you begin that road, that neural pathway, you don't believe it. And then the more your brain functioning takes that road, the more the decision-making part of your brain will begin to believe that message. It is incredible when you learn that, because you realize that you have been given the power to empower yourself to write new stories. Because if you watched last Sunday's video, and if you missed it, I'll have it linked down below. But if you watched last Sunday's video, you'll remember that you are created in love, and you are beautiful, and you were designed for a purpose. And these negative thought patterns and negative behaviors is not the way you were created. That is not what you were created to be. That is not how you were created to think. And you can begin to change the way your brain functions, to think of yourself and see yourself as the way that God sees you. And that is such an incredible gift. Does it happen overnight? No. But there's a lot of research proving that it does work. And guys, I am a living example. I still have the neural pathways that make me very hard on myself at times. But I can truly and honestly share with you guys that I have successfully changed neural pathways in my brain. My gut reaction, my gut thinking process is far more positive now than it was when I began this process. And the trick isn't really a trick at all. The trick is a habit. You have to choose that you are going to write new stories for yourself. You can think of it as, I am going to take to court all of these messages that I have been told about myself. And this time, I am the judge and the jury, and I'm going to decide whether those messages are true or not. And if they're not true, I am deciding that I am going to write new stories for myself. I'm going to start to see myself in the way that God sees me. I'm going to spend time alone to hear and listen and reflect on the truth about myself. I'm going to learn about the truth about myself. And over time, you can start to see yourself the way that God sees you, which is beautiful and unique and deserving. It is far easier for me to talk to myself and behave in patterns that are so much healthier for my mind and my body and my spirit. And I see those negative roads light up less and less every day, every week, every month. And that's why I wanted to share this message with you, because it is possible. There is nothing unique and superpowered about me that you don't also share, that you don't also have. I don't have some secret chemistry within myself that you don't also have. If I can change my thought patterns, and if I can learn to see myself as the way that I was intended to be seen, so can you. I don't have any tools that you don't have. And if I can do it, so can you. And I believe that you can. And I believe that you deserve to see yourself the way that you're meant to be seen. So in Friday's newsletter, I asked you to think about this. If you could write a different story for yourself, what would you say? And so my challenge for you for the rest of the week is to write new stories for yourself. Write them on sticky notes, write them on notes on your phone, write them as wallpaper on your cell phones, and start telling yourself those messages. Start writing new stories for yourself. Start creating new neural pathways. And I'm so excited to hear in the coming days and weeks and months how this truth is impacting your lives. And so would you please follow up with me? Would you please keep in touch with me through the comments and on Instagram, and let me know the stories that you're writing for yourself. Let me know what new neural pathways you're forging. I'm so excited to see and hear how we are all growing together. I want you just for a second to close your eyes and take a deep breath. And put your hand on your heart. And just feel your heart beating. Take a deep breath in. Feel that heart beating for you. And exhale. And tell yourself out loud, no one's judging, I love you, I deserve this, I can write a new story, I am free to live my truth. Thank you guys so much for spending some time with me today. If you have any questions and you want me to kind of flesh things out a little bit more, please let me know in the comments and I will chat back with you guys. I really want the comment section on Soulful Sunday to continue the conversation. I also am going to link some resources in the description box below because last week you guys had asked for me to link, scholarly studies as much as I can. And so I've gone ahead and linked some resources for you in the description box below. And as always, make sure you sign up for the newsletter because that's also where I'm linking a lot of resources as well. I'm also considering setting a system up where I sell the pieces of art that I'm creating, and I do want to start doing more ceramics as well. I just have to wait until I can order more clay. There's a huge backlog in shipping for clay right now, but I'm thinking that I would love to start selling these pieces. Is that something that you guys would be interested in? And the way that I would do it is set it up as a pay what you can. I wouldn't put any price on any of the pieces that I create. I would just put them on my website. It would be a first come, first serve basis. These are all, of course, one of a kind because I'm just creating them for the Soulful Sunday series. And it would just be pay what you can. Pay what you think the piece deserves. Pay what you think the piece is worth. Pay what you can afford. I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like, and maybe I'll put today's piece up on my website if enough of you are interested. It's a really great way for me to be able to keep this channel going, and it's a way that you guys can help support this channel in a monetary way. The more I can do things like this, the less that I will have to take sponsorships from other brands, and so if that's something that interests you, it's a really great way to support my channel. So until next week on Soulful Sunday, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you on Thursday with another video. Thank you guys. Have a good day. Bye-bye.